Outlaw Sports is brought to you by Molson Canadian, made from Canada, and Rocky Mountain Barbecue, Alberta barbecue cuisine at its best.
Okay, I'll set you up. Well, Grant's no question all week. There's, for the next few days, it's going to be centered around the trade deadline in the NHL. Networks devoting whole days to it. Radio stations devoting whole days to it.
Yeah.
We'll devote a minute and a half.
Yeah. Well,
let's look at it. Let's look at Jarome first of all. I mean, does what Pittsburgh did getting Morrow set the bar and kind of give you an idea of what some teams are going to have to give up? For example, what would Boston have to give up to get Jarome Iginlas?
Well, I guess the word right now is that it's two prospects and a draft pick. So for prospects, if I'm trading with Boston, and that's who I think I would go for. Now, of course, the Flames know too. See, Jarome is the most important guy to go first. Why? Because he's an unrestricted free agent. Don't worry about Bouwmeester right now. Don't worry about Kiprusoff because they're under contract. You can still trade them, but it's not the urgency right now. So if you're going to trade with Boston, I want maybe Ryan Spooner or this guy playing in Russia right now, Alexander Koklachev. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he too is a center. And they say when he comes back, he went over to Russia. He played for the Windsor Spitfires in junior hockey, won a Memorial Cup. And then he went to play because of the lockout over in Russia. When his contract's up, apparently he's coming back to North America next season and could make it to the NHL. And if you read his analysis on this guy, he's a puck carrier, creative passer, and a courageous goal scorer. That's what they say about this guy. I want him or a Ryan Spooner. And if you trade Jarome Iginlas, I'm sorry, if you trade Mika Kiprusoff, then maybe Malcolm Subban too. That's Boston.
But what Boston doesn't need any help in goaltending whatsoever. They're so deep there. I mean, so get Kiprusoff out of there because that won't happen.
Okay, then it's Alexander for me, Alexander Kuklachev, if I'm pronouncing it right, or a Ryan Spooner and somebody else. That's who I think it is. If it's going to be the LA Kings, now there is a strong connection with Daryl Sutter and Jarome Iginlas. Jarome played some of his best seasons under Daryl Sutter, a 50-goal season under Daryl Sutter. They've got a center right now who's up and down with this team, Tyler Toffoli. I mentioned him last time. He is probably their best prospect. He's a center. That's exactly what the Flames need. Now, a lot of people are saying Jonathan Bernier, a goalie. I don't know. To me, for the Flames to have a true rebuild here, I don't want a goalie right now. Kerry Ramo and maybe Joy McDonald can handle a team in the rebuild.
Sure. Yeah.
So I would hate to see Jarome go for not a forward prospect, something they desperately need. So, but they say Jonathan Bernier's in there. Again, if you're going to trade Kiprusoff somewhere down the line, it makes sense. But Toffoli's in there, and there's a left winger named Tanner Pearson, another prospect for the LA Kings. So keep those two in mind with the LA Kings.
Let me ask you this question.
Toffoli and Pearson.
If LA is making a serious run for the Stanley Cup, and Jonathan Quick has had some injury problems this year, and they want to make a serious run, wouldn't it be better to have a tandem of solid goaltenders in case one gets hurt to make that run? Especially in this day and age, you don't see a lot of people repeating.
Yes.
Yeah,
the answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Why not have both in there?
Yeah.
So therefore maybe.
And do you trade? Do you trade within the division? Do you trade within the conference, or do you just get the best thing? I mean, you're going to sit here and watch Jarome play for a few years in front of. But I guess Gretzky went to LA too, right?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you say you don't do, but I think if it's the best deal, I think you do it.
What about Chicago?
I couldn't find enough good prospects when I looked over their system that matched up to trade Iginlas. For the Flames to trade him and not getting it. So I couldn't find enough good prospects that I'm aware of from the Chicago team. Somebody said, though, Jarome might be better suited for the LA Kings or the Boston Bruins for the style they play compared to Chicago, which is a bit more skating, run, and gun. That Jarome might not be able to keep up with that.
Yep.
But Boston, LA style might suit Jarome better. What about Detroit? Nick Kypreos from Sportsnet threw out that name on Monday. And I was a little surprised to see that, but Detroit had some success against Anaheim this past few days. Then they sweep the Ducks in a couple of games. So I was looking at their prospects. They're not as deep, I don't think, as Boston or LA, but they have a guy named Kalle Jarnkrok, I think his name is.
Glad you're saying that.
Yeah, I know. They say he's a skilled centerman playing over in playing pro hockey over in Europe right now, and ready to make the jump to be a skilled centerman in the NHL. And then you might get a guy, one of their depth guys like Justin Abdelkader or somebody like that off the wings. That's who I think.